Warmth we've had, but I think it might be a little too good to be true. But for more on that, let's go over to Adam Beam with this week's weather.
Well, this week has definitely been the nicest so far this year, but since this is Pennsylvania, things are going to get a little colder before they get warmer. Looking here at tonight's forecast, following a high today of 72, things are going to get a little chilly with a low of 43. Although make sure if you're going out tonight, you remember that umbrella, as scattered showers are expected well into the evening. Tomorrow, things are not going to be much warmer, but I'm sure many of you going home for Easter weekend will appreciate the roads staying nice and dry. Tomorrow will be a high of 68 and a low of 53, as it looks to remain just partly cloudy. It appears that vampires have moved on from biting necks to putting needles in arms. If you happen to find yourself in Transylvania, spend a night at the iconic Bran Castle in Romania and get yourself a COVID-19 vaccine. In a move by the local government to encourage more locals and tourists to get vaccinated, nurses with fangs on their scrubs will give a shot of the Pfizer vaccine to all visitors. The castle's marketing director, Alexandru Priscu, said, quote, "The idea was to show how people got jabbed 500 to 600 years ago in Europe," end quote. This new vaccination site will also hopefully revitalize the influx of tourists, which took a heavy hit during the pandemic.
Who's ahead? Biden's up for now. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You take a look here, and you can definitely see that even though Joe Biden does have the lead here, it has never been safe, even if the Democrats have the lead. If you look back at 2016, Hillary Clinton definitely did have the lead. However, that quickly changed as the night went on. But as we see it right now, Trump is staying strong in the states that he was able to secure back in 2016. So you go through the Midwest here, up and around here. But like we said, all eyes still are on Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and now we are possibly looking at Ohio for possibly going to Donald Trump. However, like we said, with the early votes, considering that they will be the deciding factor in Ohio, it is still interesting to see if the Democrats can pull through, because after all, in this election, when it came to early and mail-in votes, it was the Democrats leading, and that is where a lot of those big early Democratic margins have been going to. They have been going to the Democrats because more Democrats have been doing the early votes. However, as it looks like in Ohio, early voting is possibly going to Trump, but it will be interesting to see if Biden can turn that around. This past Saturday, the entire nation paused and remembered, as this year marked the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks that cost the lives of nearly 3,000 people. All across the country, events and memorials were held to remember those we lost. On the eve of the day, President Biden released a video message reflecting on the events of September 11th, 20 years ago. Biden would then make appearances at each of the 3 attack locations: Ground Zero in New York, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and the crash site of Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Alongside President Biden were 3 of the former first families. The Clintons, Obamas, and the Bushes all appeared to give their condolences. Naturally, it was former President Bush who had the most to say, seeing how the events of September 11th and its aftermath are what ultimately defined his presidency. A French court sentenced the country's former president, Nicolas Sarkozy, to 3 years in prison Monday. The charges stem from a corruption scandal where Sarkozy promised a senior magistrate a prestigious position in Monaco in exchange for information about an inquiry against him. Investigators were looking into claims Sarkozy accepted illegal campaign payments from L'Oreal heiress Lillian Bettencourt for his 2007 race. They tapped both Sarkozy's phone and that of his lawyer, Thierry Herzog, in the probe. The judge suspended 2 years of Sarkozy's prison term and said he can serve the third by wearing an electronic bracelet at home. 2 of the 66-year-olds, including Herzog, were also handed prison sentences. Sarkozy will go on trial again in 2 weeks for accusations he hid the true cost of his failed 2012 re-election campaign. He is also being investigated for accepting millions in euros in campaign funds from late Libya leader Muammar Gaddafi. Sarkozy becomes the first president in France's modern history to get sentenced to jail. Former President Jacques Chirac was found guilty of misusing public funds 9 years ago, but his entire 2-year prison term was suspended. It could happen to just about anyone. While the college experience is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, for many students and parents, there is the underlying sense of dread, the fear that you or someone you know could be sexually harassed or assaulted. In a report by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, 13% of all students experience rape or sexual assault through physical force, violence, or incapacitation, all among graduate and undergraduate students. However, the awareness of these acts has been gaining more and more traction with each passing academic year. And in honor of Sexual Assault Awareness Month, I had a chance to sit down with the director of the Women's Center, Ariel Catron, who spoke to me about the importance of the month, as well as how students here at Shippensburg and at colleges all across the country can stay safe and stay informed. For any students seeking help or education on any matters involving sexual assault or harassment, the Women's Center is located at the first floor of Horton Hall and can be contacted at 717-477-1790. The Fashion Archive is celebrating the university's anniversary by displaying a sprawling exhibit of fashion throughout Shippensburg's 150-year history. The exhibit is directed by Dr. Karen Bolecki and has been put together by the work of student and community volunteers with a passion for history and a skill in fashion. While exploring the exhibit, I got to speak with two Shippensburg alumni taking a trip down memory lane.
Hello, Shippensburg. It's been a while since we've been back. Started here in 1968 from Central Bucks High School in Doylestown, PA. Graduated in 1973. Still have great memories, of this campus. What a great time we had, and we learned a lot too, I must say.
If you're interested in visiting the event, it will be on display for the Archives Open House Friday, October 22nd and Saturday, October 23rd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. SHIP students and faculty admission is free. And if you're unsure where the Fashion Archives are located, they can be found on the opposite side of the gate behind the shipwreck in the Davis House. As the winter temperatures continue to drop below freezing, some families and community members are struggling to keep warm and lack the resources to bundle up in these colder climates. Thankfully, two Chambersburg residents are giving back to the community and helping their neighbors in need.
Come in, you get 3 bags, and you may shop as long as you want. Have anything you want. After you get done in here, we have some products out in the breezeway that you may also take along with you. If you are in need, we also have boxes of food for you, and a lot of times we have refrigerator food and freezer food for you.
While it's been just over a week since President Joe Biden was sworn into office, all eyes continue to remain on former President Donald Trump, who awaits his trial for impeachment for a second time. This comes after the attack on the U.S. Capitol by a mob of pro-Trump supporters, who many government officials believe to have been sparked by President Trump's constant refusal to accept the 2020 election results, and an attack that resulted in the deaths of 5 people.
Here, Adam, that's consistency. You could look at that.
And
what
look
a
at
run.
this. 41,
to the 30,
number 41,
20,
Jake
10,
DeLucia.
touchdown, and
Jake
there it is.
DeLucia with the touchdown.
13 to 15.
Now that is how you make a game much more interesting right there.
And that's it for SUTV Entertainment. I'm Adam Beam. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam. And that's World News for this Wednesday night. I'm Adam Beam. Remember to everyone traveling out there to drive safe and have a wonderful holiday. I'm Adam Beam. Now let's send it over to Michael Donegan with this week's entertainment.